What's up, schmucks? Welcome to a quickie little review that requires little to no effort from me so I can focus on other videos. Kick back and enjoy. Here we go. Final Destination Bloodlines is the 6th entry in the Final Destination franchise. It's directed by Adam Stein and Zach Lepofsky, and it stars a whole ensemble of people. So in standard Final Destination fashion, someone has a premonition of a horrible event taking place that results in a ton of death and destruction. This time, it's a woman named Iris. Iris had her premonition and then used that knowledge to save a lot of lives. However, death still wants to take all those lives, so it systematically worked its way through everyone who was supposed to die that day until it eventually gets to Iris and her family. Because Iris was meant to die and didn't, she went on to have children and grandchildren, and none of them were supposed to exist. And now death wants to take them all. And what follows is a really fun time at the theater. Alright, that's the end of my written section. I have some notes here. Let's yap. Final Destination Bloodlines is fun. I don't think it's the best in the franchise, but I do think it's better than maybe most of them. Alright, I vaguely remember the rest of them. I like 5, I like 1, I don't remember the rest. But I really liked this. I thought this was a lot of fun. I'm probably not going to remember it in a month, but I had a good time. The first thing that really stood out to me in this movie is that it is shot surprisingly well. It's pretty. It's nice to look at. The CGI is a little uncanny valley. Sometimes it looks a little rubber bandy, but that never takes me out of it. I kind of like that look to it. 5 looked like that. I think there's kind of a charm to it, honestly. But outside of visual and special effects, this movie is a looker. It's got some fun camera movements, some pretty creative shots. I liked looking at this movie. The main character, Stephanie, is played by Caitlin Santajuana, and she is delightful. She's really good in this. She has a fun, manic energy to her, but it's never cartoony. She feels like a real believable person in the Final Destination universe. She's also a person who knows she's in the Final Destination universe, and everybody else needs to be convinced that they exist in the Final Destination universe. She just plays this really well. I bought her urgency to want to save her family. Speaking of the family, I really liked all the characters in this movie. There's nobody in this movie who really deserves their fate. That's kind of a thing with the other ones where there's usually one person who really sucks and they have it coming. That's not the case this time. Everyone here feels like a real believable person. There's even a moment where Stephanie is really pushing one of her family members, but instead of them snapping or yelling at her, which I thought would happen, they do the more believable thing where they just reestablish their position on the thing in a firmer but still loving way. You know, like a real family would. All of these actors had really believable chemistry with each other. I bought that the siblings liked each other. I bought that the cousins were friends. I bought that the spouses loved each other. And not a lot of time is dedicated to these relationships, but the little time that they're given, I completely believed it. And that speaks to these performances, but also the directors being able to get these actors to all, you know, act. And although there's not a lot of family drama in this, there is some family drama. You know, you need to feel the deaths, you need to feel the build-up, but every time the movie took a breath to establish that, I didn't mind it. I wouldn't say it was the most compelling thing ever, but I never dreaded the movie taking its time to establish mother and daughter relationships, sibling bonds, cousin friendships, stuff like that. I kind of liked that. I got to see these characters interact more, and I got to see these actors give really solid performances. The movie's also surprisingly funny. I wouldn't say it's like a laugh out loud comedy, but I was chuckling a fair amount. But, you know, it's a Final Destination movie. So the question is, how are the kills? Fun. I think that's the best way to describe it. The kills are really fun. They are over the top and ridiculous and silly and stupid and contrived, and I loved it. I don't think these are the best kills in the series, though. The one kill in the whole franchise that's always stood out to me is the gymnastics kill from 5. I love the build-up, the way there's a million things set up that make you think she's gonna die in one way, and then she just folds in half. Horrifying. Nothing in this movie touches that for me, but I think these kills are fun on their own. This franchise kind of got away from the whole dying in a way that was plausible thing. That was where the horror from the first movie came from, if I remember it correctly. It's been a long time. But now they're more interested in finding the most ridiculous, bonkers, out of this world way to kill people. A gust of wind will shift a fly that bumps into a can of beer that'll fall over onto a wood chipper, which will activate the wood chipper, and then a chunk of wood will get spit out, and it'll hit someone riding their bike, and they'll fall down a hill, and they'll bump into a horse, and the horse will go into traffic, and a car will swerve, and it'll fucking crash into something and make a big noise and scare someone holding a knife, and they'll drop the knife, and the knife will land on their foot, and then they'll stumble back and they'll bump into someone, and then that person they bumped into will fall into like a fucking electrified pool or some shit. That doesn't happen in this movie, but that's the level of shit that you're working with. And it's fun. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's silly. It's corny. And I loved it. There's no earnestness in the way this movie does its deaths. There's no moment where one of the deaths is like, well, that could happen. Absolutely not. And I really enjoyed that. They set the tone really early on with the premonition sequence. The premonition sequence is really, really cool, by the way. Really good deaths in that moment. But they set the tone so early by telling you more or less, this is a stupid movie. Buckle in. You're going to have a good time. And I did. I buckled in. I had a great time. I also really like the wider implications for the franchise this movie brings up. It's nothing crazy, but it introduces some ideas that could explain things from the other movies, and I really like that. I thought that was fun. They can make 10 more of these, man. I don't care. I don't know how this is doing at the box office, but I like this. I thought this was a good time at the theater. I would recommend it. If you like this series, you're probably going to like this one. If you're new to this franchise, you could do a lot worse for your first one. Like 4. 4's really bad. Don't watch 4. But yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines is a really good time at the theater. The kills are dumb and ridiculous, but they're supposed to be, and they're really entertaining. The characters are oddly likable. I was not expecting that. And the movie is shot and directed really, really well. I honestly can't think of any problem I had with this. I was just having a fun time, and sometimes that's all that I want from a movie. But if you've seen Final Destination Bloodlines, what do you think about it? You should let me know. More engagement on the video means that it gets picked up by the algorithm better, and then it gets more views, and then I get money. Hooray! Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, why don't you leave a like? If you didn't enjoy it, leave a dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear me talk about movies some more, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!